Well, hello again. Welcome to another episode of Relatively Unstable. We do have manners, so we'll welcome you. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Andrea.
And today we have Jay Hicks with us, and we're going to kick it about music. We've had a lot going on with quarantine. We've all been blessed with the Instagram battles and the quarantine DJs, and whether it be the big names like Be Nice or the local DJs, we've all kind of immersed ourselves in music to get us through. So we thought we would talk a little bit more about it and expand on it. Don't forget to like, share, and follow Relatively Unstable on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the streaming sites. So let's get into it. Jay is somebody who I'm indirectly related to and excited about that. And he should be excited about, kind of coming into the Langford space, but the Langford.
Well, let me tell you this, not to cut you off. I'm excited about that mac and cheese you be making. Let's start there.
Wait. There's mac and cheese?
So you ain't know it was mac and cheese.
Because we can, yeah. We'll get to the music, but can we have a little segue about, because if it's important enough to mention, then I think that we need to have a conversation about that.
Let me tell you, that mac and cheese is like a sweet melody, okay?
Listen, okay.
It's that mac and cheese. If the mac and cheese was it's a hit single. How about
it's a hit single?
It's a hit single, okay?
That's my one-hit wonder.
It got Beyonce on the remix.
Damn.
That's how hard that mac and cheese bang. Okay? It's some savage ass mac and cheese. That mac and cheese was savage even before that record came out. Okay? So let me welcome you into the family. I appreciate you that you in the family, and let's keep this family thing rolling as long as that mac and cheese keep rolling after this COVID shit is over.
So check, we had a conversation about the mac and cheese and holidays and the other day, because I was like, you know what? We don't have anybody coming over, but I'll make some mac and cheese. And I usually, Jay has seen what I make. I don't know how to cook little.
Yeah.
So
She do it colossal.
Right. So I was like, I'm going to just do enough for us. And there's only 3 of us in the house right now. It still turned out to be like 2 big ass dishes of mac and cheese. So it's in the fridge right now, Jay. I'll freeze it for you. It heats beautifully out of the fridge. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea.
Drew, you never had the mac and cheese?
I've never had the mac and cheese.
Oh shit! What?
I've never. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Oh my goodness!
You see what I'm saying?
Look here, y'all got to get it together. We supposed to be uniting on this COVID front. Like together we will.
This is what I'm gonna get us some mac and cheese.
Maybe we do like another one. You ship me some mac and cheese to DC, right? And we do like a mac and cheese party or something. Everybody bring the mac and cheese, and then we have like a mac and cheese party.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
Everybody thinks their mac and cheese is the best, or so I try to stay humble about the mac and cheese, but because everybody, oh no, you haven't had mac and cheese until you've had my mac and cheese.
Yeah. It's like that. It's 2 things that the African Americans are serious about, and that's sweet potato pie.
Correct.
Which my sister has that a lot.
And they mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody can cook chicken. Yeah. Everybody can have fried chicken, and do a pork chop or whatever it may be. Everybody vegan now, so they don't eat meat and all that stuff. But that mac and cheese is serious. It's serious. But yeah, you got to hit single though. Since we talk about music, it's all the way a hit single.
Right.
Like that one, it'll carry me. Like I don't have to work again. Like
hey, look here, never ever. It's streaming. It's streaming. You got streams for days, baby.
Wait, do I get an unsung?
No, you don't want to be on unsung. You don't want to be on unsung. You get the Soul Train. You get a Soul Train musical. We'll throw you on Soul Train. We'll sneak you on Soul Train. Why they be sneaking the Soul Train Awards like that? Like, what the hell? Like, it be coming on like you just be flipping through the TV and you see the Soul Train. Like, what? But I'm gonna be real though. They have like all the dope throwback acts like Donnell Jones and John B. And they sound just like they did back when they was out.
They've had a lot of practice on those 2 songs.
Listen.
For real. For real.
And a lot of
good.
time. And a lot of time.
They do that stuff regularly.
I wonder what John B up to. John B should do like a quarantine. We need more R&B on the quarantine battle tip. Since we talking about music. Like John B. Who John B can go against though? I don't know about that. Maybe Donnell Jones. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. Donnell a little too soulful though.
I was about to say he's kind of like gutter. Like, isn't he from Chicago or something? I don't know if John B can handle him.
You know what I was listening to the other day?
What's that?
David Hollister. Speaking of Chicago.
No.
Wow.
His album that Take Care of Home joint.
Yeah.
Ooh, look here. Anybody that's going through COVID issues right now with your lady, I'm gonna tell you, all you gotta do is go to your Spotify, go to your Apple Music, and listen to Dave Hollister. I think Chicago 85 is the name of the album. Don't even worry about the album. Listen to Dave Hollister, Take Care of Home. Dave Hollister will make your home happy again. Okay? Just stream it 3 times a day. 3 times a day. Morning, afternoon, well, 4 times. You need that nighttime vibe twice. You'll be good to go. You'll be good to go. But that's
let me tell you when I think of Dave Hollister, I think of the video, was it I'm Gonna Keep Loving You, when he's like, get your track shoes then.
He was a smooth brother, man. We need to bring Dave Hollister back. I would like to see him in a nice little quarantine.
Yeah, I bet you can find him on tour.
He ain't touring nowhere no time soon.
Well, not today.
He touring in his basement.
But wait, I bet you, does he have an IG? Let's see. I bet you he has an IG. Let me tell you who I follow.
Dave Hollister. Who will go up against Dave Hollister? Dave Hollister only had like, he went gospel on this, which is still a good thing, but.
Who could go up against Dave Hollister?
I would say Eric Benet.
Really? I think Eric Benet and John B is the match.
Eric Benet and John B. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that too. But if you think about it, there's not really a lot of like super soulful male singers though. Like in that 90s.
They have a whole album.
Yeah.
They have a whole but I'm gonna tell you who came across. Okay.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Andrea?
Oh no, I was done.
Oh, well, I was vibing the other night on I do my Sunday night soul session, right? And Music Soul Child. Yo, music. Where is Music Soul Child at? COVID need to bring everybody out. Everybody need to come on back on out. Music Soul Child need to bring his ass back out. And he needs to do a battle.
Do you think Music Soul Child and Dave Hollister could go? Is he too hard for him?
No, he got too many. Music got too many hits. Music needs some stronger competition.
Yeah.
Maybe like a D'Angelo, maybe, or like a Jaheim. Where Jaheim at?
Oh.
What's wrong? Why you make that face when I said Jaheim? What's wrong? What's wrong with Jaheim? What kind of Jaheim memories you got?
Like,
you ever seen that picture of Jaheim outside of Whitney Houston's funeral? Please tell me you've seen that picture.
What picture?
Of Jaheim outside of Whitney Houston's funeral. Yeah.
Is this what he had on the
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. He looked like a Detroit pimp.
Yes.
Like straight up.
For real, he looked like a Detroit pimp about to go to Summer Jam when it was in Hart Plaza. You know, remember Summer Jam was in Hart Plaza?
Yeah.
It was free. I remember that. What the hell was wrong with Jaheim? He smoked some good weed. When you wearing shit like that, you smoking some good weed. Like
it's that stuff.
I mean, but to be fair though. Say what?
Is that what it's called? An 8-ball?
Oh, I don't know.
No, I just learned a new term. Oh, it's when you roll up the weed and the like heroin. I forgot what it's called. I learned it on
You need to stop watching TV. It's cold. You need to turn Netflix off. You said an eight ball. That was like 1987. They was doing eight ball. You said an 8 ball?
Dang, I can't remember what
Cocaine, little 8 ball. Like what them rappers was rapping about in the 80s, like the 8 ball jacket 8 ball.
Yes, but it's something else. There's another thing out there, and I have to find what it is. This should give you all confidence that I don't do hard drugs.
That's a good thing.
You know, I'm Detroit, but you know, I'm like, you know, there's levels.
Yeah, from Southfield. Let us find out. Let us find. You made that comment like you was from Southfield. Like I'm from Detroit, but I'm actually from Southfield.
I am from Detroit proper.
It's okay. You know, everybody from Detroit.
And let's be clear. I grew up around the corner from you.
And look, everybody in Detroit don't smoke weed except you. Like you're the only person. So it's all to the good.
No, and let me also be clear, Detroit is not a drug hub. I'm just saying I am just a tamer, you know. I'm a little bit more lame. I don't have a lot of street cred.
Well, you just
I have zero street cred.
Saying no to drugs. Ain't nothing wrong with saying no to drugs.
I feel like while Detroit has a reputation among the country, I think I like to think of it that we're more educated about what's going on than we are actually active participants.
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
This is not 1988. I think we just know enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Detroit, you know, we know for drug lords. How about that?
Right. Yeah.
In the lifestyle, like Big Meech. You know, what was the fellas back in the 80s?
What is it?
YBI.
Yeah.
YBI, and then the cats before that. So we know for like massive drug, White Boy Rick.
Right, but that's like concentrated. That's like a few things. I don't know how all these people gave us this one reputation, but
that's all you need is like a couple people to pop. Look at Eminem. Since we want to get talking about music, like every time I say I'm from Detroit, I mean everybody say like 8 Mile. Like yeah, right. I'm to the point where I don't even explain it no more. Like yeah,
right.
Folks, if you say so.
Right.
Black, white, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Dominican, purple. Like they be like, you from Detroit? Oh, 8 Mile. How was 8 Mile? You're from 8 Mile with Eminem.
I know you're like 8 Mile. The traffic on 8 Mile is trash. Right. That's my perspective.
Right. I'm strip clubs and liquor stores. That's it.
And hold on now. Probably the most incredible Coney Island ever. TJ's Coney Island, everybody. That might be the most.
No, you gotta go down further. Capital. The capital of.
What?
Yes.
Capital what?
Capital Coney Island.
Never heard of it.
It's right there at 8 Mile in Wyoming.
Never heard of it.
Man, TJ's no. TJ's, you will have to look. One time we left the club and we went to TJ's Coney Island. My girlfriend had a stroke. She was like, "If you don't drive off, we are not seeing this factory at 3 in the morning."
Look here, she missed out. You sound like y'all was having a good time. What was y'all smoking and drinking if I had to have a stroke?
Hey, where were we that night?
That was a hell of a party. Somebody had a stroke.
Seriously,
TJ's
like,
Coney Island.
Shut up. Where were we? Well, like I'm trying to think. Where would we have been where we would have ended up on the west side at a Coney Island? Because usually, you know, we go downtown.
Right.
Yeah. On Jefferson and
right.
Greektown. Do kids still do that? Like when they get out, do they still? Well, I don't know about now, but with the COVID, but like, is like Greektown still the move? Or like Jefferson still the move? And be in traffic for like 6 hours? Is that still the move for like?
Andrea's the cool one that lives downtown.
Kind of.
What's the move? Where about downtown you at?
So I'm in the West Village. So
that sound boozy. That's some new shit. What is that? Explain that.
So hold on now. hold on. I mean, I do live in a gentrified neighborhood, so let's keep that 100. But
Everybody do now.
right, everybody do now. But the West Village is actually a really old neighborhood, and it's been named the West Village for a long time, but nobody ever really called it, just like the Bagley neighborhood or the, whatever neighborhood, like
Rosedale Park.
Rosedale Park.
Rosedale
but but the reason why it's called the West Village is because it's west of Indian Village. So
okay. That was creative.
Yeah.
So
But
like
you're
what
still
part,
down there,
what
you
part
still
of
know
downtown that's at? Like if I'm at Ford Field, where you at?
Okay, so it is, if you're at Ford Field, it's like down Gratiot and then over to like
Gratiot. Okay.
Yeah. So
Siemens by the jewelry store?
Kind of, but then like more, I don't know, my north, south, east, west. So but like going
landmark.
Basically I'm like a mile from Belle Isle.
Oh, you in the hood still.
A little bit.
They ain't put that together quick. They ain't put that together that quick. You still in the hood.
A little bit.
But you still know, you are down there enough to know how the traffic's moving.
Yeah, so people use so I stay right off Van Dyke. So people use Van Dyke as like a secondary Jefferson. So people, they flying up and down the street all times of night. But it feels like home, so I'm good.
But I feel like, Jay, to answer your question, maybe, when they started charging to get on Belle Isle, maybe that kind of curtailed some of that activity.
Right.
But here's the thing about that though, like it don't really be nobody checking though. Like, really? I mean, unless it's like in the middle of the day, I guess maybe there's folks there checking, but like on the times that I've been there, that's been like a little off-peak hours, not like late at night, but not like super late. There don't be nobody at that booth.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been to Belle one time since they started charging, and they did check. My brother was able to just get us past with his badge, but they did check.
I ain't been to Belle Isle in so long. They still got the giant slide.
Do they?
Is that still a thing of Belle Isle? That's the last time I've been in Belle Isle. I had to wake up. My homeboy family did a family reunion. You remember they had to wake up to get like the little areas, 6:30 in the morning. He was in charge of getting the areas at 6:30 in the morning. We at Belle Isle locking in the areas for the family reunion. That is some ghetto Belle Isle bullshit.
It is.
You know you from Detroit when you designated by the family to go lock in the Belle Isle area for your ass.
With the lawn chairs and everything.
And then don't let nobody be there already trying to set up. Like for real. That's woo.
Let me tell you who wasn't down there doing that.
Yo, that's crazy. Trying to set up while you trying to get your setup together. Boy, that is some Belle Isle shit. They need to bring back Belle Isle. Y'all remember I was telling somebody back in the day, because I'm in DC, right? And when Trump travels, he travels
go-go
like
music.
Yeah, go-go music. Oh guys, it's so lit. That go-go. Do not talk about they go-go in DC. That go-go is some real shit. Okay.
I love go-go.
Like Motown.
I do too.
Yeah, bang. It is very eclectic, eccentric, and it touches you in a different way. It gets you moving. It gets you moving for real, and it sounds good. It sounds really, really good. It's really a dope part of the culture. It's actually the music of DC. They just made that official. The mayor made it official probably like 2 months ago. I don't know what took them so long, but I mean, it's been the official music of DC. Okay. But I was telling somebody that when Trump rolls by, he got the whole barricade and they lock everything down. And I was on the phone with somebody. They were like, "Damn, who? What's all that noise?" I'm like, "That's Trump riding by," because I'm not that far from the White House, right?
I don't need you to say that name one more time.
It's not
helicopters. They still protect him. They still protect him. He still got the helicopters and all that shit. But I was telling my homeboy I was on the phone with that the last time I seen a patrol like that was when Michael Jackson came to Detroit. and he was meeting with Barden Cable, and he came down on the Southfield Freeway, and like the state troopers, they had helicopters, and I'm like, damn, I'm about to get pulled over knowing damn well my license expired. I'm about to go to jail. My mom about to kick my ass. So I pull over, and it's like all these SUVs, it's like 3 or 4 helicopters. But Michael Jackson was in town, and that was him because I saw it on the news. And I was like, my mom was right there. She's like, nigga, you wasn't there. But I wasn't there. But Michael Jackson rolled down the Southfield Freeway so deep, right, and so gangster. And he was in town to meet with Barden to do the Belle to make Belle Isle amusement park. They was gonna make it like a Cedar Point. I'm for real. They was gonna make it like they wanted to make it like a Cedar Point, yo. And the city did not want them to do it. Like that shit should be like a Cedar Point right now.
What year was this, Jay? Or what time?
Just Google it. It was I couldn't tell you. I was driving though. I know that much. So check like 96, 95.
And that would explain why I wouldn't know. I was busy having a baby.
I was illegally driving. So I knew I was going to jail. But no, for real, like Belle Isle should be like Cedar Point right now. Belle Isle should be Cedar Point.
Well,
but that's my Michael Jackson story that I'll be telling everybody. You know?
Oh my God, you were that close.
I was that close to MJ. MJ coming down the Southfield Freeway.
So look.
What?
While you were illegally driving.
Right.
So look, we
Blockbuster.
we
you remember that Blockbuster?
On Grand River?
On Grand River? Shout out to the Blockbuster on Grand River. That Blockbuster used to be lit.
Yeah.
On Grand River in Southfield?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That Blockbuster used to be lit.
Yeah.
For real. That was a Friday night hang right there.
And they closed really late, so you could go in there late and looking like anything.
And then the movie dropped off.
Somebody you know.
It was always some shenanigans up in there.
So look, you were we didn't give the background, but Jay is from Detroit, and he's now stationed in DC working. But those from Detroit might recognize him from 107.5 because you were on air for a while, right, Jay?
Yeah, I was on there for like 4 or 5 years. I did middays at Hot 107.5 GPR. It was a hip hop and R&B station. And I was what you call a brand manager too. And brand manager, somebody that manages the radio station on their staff, on their assets, digital assets, sales relationships, community relationships. You pretty much do it all. You manage the brand, and I was in Detroit for 6 years doing that. When I originally came to Detroit, I started in Lansing. Michigan State, but the station was not tied into the actual university. So the station was an independent station, first African-American owned female minority station in Michigan called Power 96.5. Helena Dubose owned it. She sold it. But I was with her for some years, and she actually gave me my opportunity, her and a guy by the name of Brent Johnson, to become a program director and really, learn the music side of the industry from another dynamic. I always wanted to be, I tell folks when I introduce myself at like staff meetings or any kind of functions that I attend and speak at, or any kind of speaking engagements, I tell folks that I'm from AAA, home of AAA. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about the insurance company. I'm talking about home of Aretha, Anita, and Alita.
Okay.
So the D, and it's a lot of musical infrastructure there. And, Detroit is just grounded in music, whatever side you look at, from the Motown side to the current R&B side to the rap side to, the jazz side to the gospel side, which is just as big as all the components. So being a Detroiter, growing up in Detroit, always wanted to do music, ended up being, in radio, and was able to still use that music fix through radio, got on air, you know, learned how to manage the station. Because my sister, Courtney, I saw, you know, her journey, and her journey was more of an on-air personality. And she really never did the management side, but on-air personalities, you know, they are, you know, disposable from a corporate standpoint. You know, one day they're the most valuable people at the station. Second, they the most unvaluable people at the station. So I just saw the ups and downs with her career. And, you know, your siblings are like your GPSs. So they can give you a kind of outlay of what's coming up ahead. So that made me get into more of the management side of radio. So became a music director, you know, start listening more to helping pick the singles out. That's when CDs were a thing. And my boss at the time, Brent Johnson in Lansing, he was the program director. He had been there for a couple years. And the owner, Elena Dubose, was the general manager. So we used to have piles of CDs. And he would, you know, tell me that the best way to, you know, make yourself better is to curb your ear and always train your ear to get better and listen to as much music as you can. So we would have stacks and stacks of CDs. One pile would be the A pile, good pile, B pile would be the medium pile, and C pile would be the whack pile. But you listen to everything to really, one, know what's going on and know what the sound is, and really gauge, you know, the music atmosphere at the time, you know. So it was those little tricks right there that kind of led me to where I'm at now, to where, you know, I do some music consulting. I'm a brand manager, and music is the vessel that drives, you know, the world, as we can see with the COVID-19 situation, with the DJs, with the battles. I mean, if it wasn't for music, I don't think I would have been. I never would have made it. Never would have made it. I mean.
I think you're alone in that, Jay. I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that people who weren't even really tuned in or plugged in, like, I think the three of us, you know, and I consider myself on the lower end of the spectrum because Andrea has a great ear and a broad spectrum of interest in music, and you have all this experience. But I definitely consider myself a person that lives by music. It is, you know, I have these soundtracks to the eras of my life, and you know, I think that even now, or I should say now, people who don't necessarily feel that way have kind of latched on to the hype and maybe are getting an appreciation for sounds that they didn't have before. Even if it's just jumping on the bandwagon, they are able to kind of be exposed in a way that they hadn't before, you know, kind of those Pollyannas that are like, oh, this is bringing everyone together, but they are clearly getting something else out of it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, definitely.
But I have a question for you, Jay, because you said something. You said you talked about 3 piles: the A pile, the medium pile, the whack pile. Can you think of a single that was in the whack pile that kind of surprised you and emerged like a success, but really you were like, man, that's whack?
Initially, I would want to say Mims, This Is Why I'm Hot.
That was a jam. That was my 31st birthday. I can tell you in everything.
But when it came out, I mean, the beat was banging, but it was just like, this is why I'm hot. It was kind of cheesy. Like, look, this is why I'm hot.
Let me tell you about that song. That song was a red dress, black fishnets. That was that song. That's what I think of when I think of that song. And what was that bar downtown? Grand Central Station in Harmony Park?
Yeah.
Harmony Park.
That's when I think of that song, that's what I think of.
Yeah, but like the word hot had been used so many times. You had the Hot Boys, and Juvenile used hot so many times. So it was just like, but you know, again, that's what you got to do when you're in radio, is that you have to put your bias to the side and go for what the people like. The people was requesting it like crazy. It was jamming in the clubs. And then he had the one part that in the Midwest, they like to take it slow. Watch him get it on the floor. And that was huge. I mean, those little parts, you know, are what really makes, you know, the songs very memorable. Like I look at the one record, the Roddy Ricch record, you know, don't wear no shoes in my house. I mean, that's this shit didn't grew so much that it's a rug now. Like people was ordering, don't wear no shoes in my house as a rug. Like, so that just show you the power of music. This boy that took this record and made like a catchphrase out of it, and that catchphrase is a rug, and it's selling because I've seen a couple people with it on social media posting it. Like, if you can't tell me Black culture is not what it is, and it, like you just, you know, like you mentioned earlier, Black culture is the essence of it all, you know, and you can really see that from now. You know, look at D Nice. You know, it took him to step up and say, all right, let me go and record myself playing music at the end of the day. You know, that's all that was. He was rocking out like he usually rock out, and people, you know, like you said, picked up on it, and it grew from there. You know, and now we're able to appreciate artists, you know, when they battle, you know, Teddy Riley and Babyface and Jill Scott and Erykah Badu. And, you know, what I'm learning from the battle, I just like the depth in the stories that comes with the song.
Yeah.
You know, like Babyface had said he had held this one record for so long, and he had wrote it and held on to it for years. And he was saying how, as a writer, you have to wait for that song meets the right person. And that right person was Tevin Campbell, and that was that Can We Talk?
Yeah.
I said, damn.
Banger.
And you know what else I thought
never
was
going nowhere. I just thought it was a great story. And then,
I thought it was cool how Jill Scott was kind of like, you know, she was getting the request during the battle to play Running Across, was it Running Across My Mind? Cross My Mind, I'm sorry. And she was like, I'm not feeling it. And it's like, she's not even feeling her own song. It's like the artists themselves have to feel it.
Yeah.
And, I thought that was interesting. And then she was like, I'll just play it. But she was like, you could tell she wasn't feeling it. And then she thought about the meaning behind it at the moment, because she was playing it at the request of Andre Harrell, who was, you know, who died the week before. And then she got into it in that moment. But prior to that, she was like, I'm not feeling it. And I'm not going to play it.
Right.
I like, even with some records, I was young when those records were out, especially the ones like Erykah. But the one record where, I forgot the name of it, but anyway, I didn't know she was dating a drug dealer. And, you know, she was dating a drug dealer, and she was telling them, you know, that, what the hell is the name of that record? But anyway, it was a whole record.
Wait, who?
About her.
Erykah Badu.
Other
Side of the Game.
Yeah, Other Side of the Game.
Yo, that's one of my favorite Erykah records, and I never knew that damn song was about her dating a street guy. Oh, like, I never knew that. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's something I missed because I was a little younger. I wasn't supposed to know, but hearing the dynamics of it, I'm like, damn, that's real.
Yeah.
That's real. But I can see why that song resonated with a lot of women so much, especially you Detroit women who date a lot of street guys.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying though, like,
it's the truth.
Was huge in Detroit.
You know how many girls came to prom with a dude that was like 24, and you know, like we're all looking like,
oh yeah,
okay,
yeah. Like nigga 28,
and they
3 kids,
right?
28, 3 kids,
buying them gym shoes,
yeah, keeping them laced with K-Swiss.
With Buffs, K-Swiss. You know what it is. Y'all know what it is.
I mean, we all, no matter how lame and secluded and you know, how much of a bubble we grew up in, we all have one drug dealer story from. I know.
I tell folks this all the time, that Detroit women are the most spoiled women in the world, because at 16, 17, like, they were getting spoiled by either you was dating either you bumped into a street guy, or either you bumped into a guy that worked in the automotive factory, in the plant, and he was making a significant amount of money too. I mean, Cats was coming out. I don't know what it is now, but when I graduated in 2000, and when I graduated, Cats was coming out making, up to damn near $75,000, $80,000 before overtime. You know what I'm saying? So you go from 19, 20 making about 65, 70. Shit, that's a lot of money. So, you gonna spend it on the women.
Look, I had 3 jobs and probably made 20 grand at that point.
I was about to say that's my testimony too, and also have never been spoiled. So maybe this is gonna come into like the second part of my life. But yeah, like
you close to that
whoever
plan on Van
listening,
Dyke.
I'm available to be spoiled.
She is open.
You next to that to that one plant on Van Dyke. Somebody gonna bump into you. You don't get a young cat pulling up in a Dodger,
A Charger.
22 in a Dodge Charger. You better say what up, dog. And you better follow him on Instagram.
In a white t-shirt.
In a white t-shirt.
And he gonna wear a mask on. That's why he on top of his game if he got a mask on.
Word.
If he don't got no mask on, don't mess with him, ladies. That's my thing. If he ain't wearing no mask, he don't.
Look, I was lame. I didn't know how to play those guys. I had a couple friends who were great at it, but I was not. I was too scared. I didn't have a boyfriend. I was just telling Jay this before we got on. I didn't even have a boyfriend until I was almost 18. So I was not that girl.
Same.
Yeah. I just happened to. That's another podcast.
You're the only person from Detroit that don't smoke weed either. So you rare out here. So
let's go with that.
Yeah.
Where she go?
I'm 45. That arthritis kicks in.
Nerves. Shit.
Nerves, right? I mean, However, I keep something
some edibles and stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's
something
for sure.
nearby, But I do think that us being from Detroit and I feel like it puts us in, and I hate this word. I try to avoid it in my writing as much as possible, but I think it puts us in a unique position from the rest of the country to appreciate more. And I think that we, like I'll talk to my girlfriend in Los Angeles, and she's not really as into music, but I'll talk to her sometimes. She's like, oh, I never heard of that, but I feel like we in Detroit appreciate sounds from all over the country. And even things that aren't necessarily ours, we can take and make our own some way. And then there's a Detroit sound. So it's like, I feel like we have us, I don't know, us being in the Midwest or, and people kind of, because nobody, whether it's our family, our generation is from Detroit, but our grandparents are not from Detroit, nobody. So I feel like we're able to carry those things just carry along with us. So whether it's like the sound of the South, whether it's something, whether it's, that Latin sound, whether it's like that West Coast rap, that East Coast, we all in Detroit, we're able to appreciate it all. Whereas in other places, I feel like, there's something that dominates.
Yeah, and other places are kind of bottled in too. I mean, you got to think of Detroit. Detroit is an international hub at the end of the day. We right across the street from Canada. I don't know, if your generation partied in Canada, but we did a lot of partying in Canada. And Canada was different enough. You know what I'm saying? To where you went over there, even though you was in Windsor, you was like, okay. And then
it is different. Did we lose Jay? What were you saying, Jay?
I was saying we have international roots with Canada being so close, and us tapping into Windsor, partying. That drinking age was 19.
Yep.
So we was over there partying early, college style. I was frat boy wasted over there. I don't know how we escaped Canada. Ain't it a blessing? But then we started. But then, ain't it a blessing? We made it out of Windsor after all that happened.
I know some people who got in some major trouble and crossed back over, just crossed the border by the. Yeah.
You can't go to Canada right now.
Yeah.
I mean, fights and all kind of crazy shit at the
Yeah.
border. Shit was lit. And then we went to that Caravana though. Then that Caravana was a whole nother international level. And then folks was able to bring a Detroit swagger to the international forum, and that just really really helped with our connection internationally, I think. And I just think with us having that border so close to us, you know, we kind of forget about Canada because we from there, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, but that's a whole another country.
Yeah,
Across
and
the water.
it's an amalgamated country. It's a country that has so, you know, that has
Culture
so much
too.
different culture and sound.
Yeah, because like Carabana, like it was people from Detroit, it was people from New York, it was, and then it was, you know, what we were actually supposed to be there for, which was like the Caribbean music and culture and food and, you know, all of that, which I'm not sure if anybody really went to the parades. I know I didn't go.
If you weren't hungover.
Right. But yeah, so like, but I think that to Tiffany's point, that because we just have so much music around us, that we're so much more open to embracing other cultures and other cultures' music, and like vibing with it no matter what, you know. So yeah, Carabana was awesome.
I never been to Carabana.
Carabana memory. You never did what?
What, Jay?
You never did what?
I've never been to Carabana.
We gonna have to take your license from you or something. Your ID card, your voter registration card away from you. You is you from Detroit?
Look,
let's find out.
When my friends were going, I was pregnant. Remember, I got knocked up early, so I was pregnant, and then I had a baby. I had a little one, so I never got that experience.
You from Wyandotte somewhere? You ain't even.
Take that back.
Where are you from? I'm from Wyandotte or some shit.
Take that back. You know where I'm from.
What else is up there? I don't know. You ain't never been to Canada.
I've been to Canada. I just never been to Carabana.
Okay. Carabana was lit. You ain't missed nothing but everything, but you ain't missed nothing.
Hater, man. Hater.
You can still go though. Carabana still be popular.
Except for I'll be somebody's grandma.
It don't matter.
I'll be there with my son.
You don't like, you look like you in your early 30s, so that's number one. So you can, like, you know, you can parlay that into some.
Let me get a little more color.
Yeah, you know.
You can ride that light skin wave. I mean, enjoy.
Listen, it is here for us, Tiffany. Let's ride it.
I think our moment is past, but you know, I think we, like you said, Jay, we were the 90s. We were the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, coming back.
Well, I will say that I enjoyed the music of the 90s. I think I'm an 80s girl, 80s music girl. But, you know.
Same. I have on, and it's something I want to go back to what Jay said about having to have like, if you're a brand manager or program director on a radio show, like you have to like have an open mind and like listen to all different kinds of things. So that lets me know that I would absolutely not be a right fit for that, because I will be playing 80s music and sad, melancholy music that makes people cry all the time, because that's the shit that I like. So I wouldn't even be like.
This is the beautiful thing about radio, that it's a place for everybody. So we will position you in something called the quiet storm. In the quiet storm, you know, you can play that sad ass, slow tempo.
That's what I'm about.
Crying. COVID-19 is breaking my relationship up. Ass music. Yeah. So that's the good thing about radio, is that it's something for everybody. You just got to figure out what that something is. And like I said, radio is just a broad spectrum. You got multiple formats. You know, I deal with the urban AC, but I even programmed a classic rock format before. You know, just again because that Detroit in me. I was listening to a little bit of rock radio, here and there coming up per se. So radio got to fit for any kind of genre of music you do or how you do it. Now, it might be a little small niche, but it's definitely something there for everybody.
Hey, Jay,
and that's guaranteed. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that I often, I've had this conversation before, music or lyrics, and I'm or sound, and I am often an advocate of the actual talent, the voice, which is why, don't kill me, I don't love Janet Jackson's sound. I have an affinity for her music because of nostalgia, but I think she's kind of terrible, just vocally. And so I love a strong vocal. And I like great lyrics. I like lyrics that speak to me. But I feel like we've, let me ask this question. Do you feel like we have kind of caved to the pressure of sound over talent?
I think that it's always been a sound thing. I mean, that's the first thing you're hearing is the beat. Mm-hmm. And, since I've been on this COVID kick, it's a documentary. I've been watching all kinds of documentaries, but it's this documentary about Motown, and it's about the group you never heard of. And they were called the Funk Brothers. And the Funk Brothers were studio musicians, a team made of 8 to 12 musicians. And they were the base, the foundation of all that Motown music that we love. Them guitar riffs, them heavy bass, them drums. And in the documentary, they went through everybody and highlighted what their special talent was. But this sound that they created, they felt that now, it was some great singers on Motown. They felt, now this is coming from the Funk Brothers, that a lot of folks could have got on them records and sounded good on them records because of that sound, because of that melody, and the way that music hits your soul.
Right.
And they were saying, they gave an analogy with one of the bass players. His dad, they were talking to the bass player's son. I don't know the names, but the bass player's son, his dad had died, so his son was talking about how his dad used the same bass for like 40 years. And he played the bass so different, the way he clicked his fingers and the way he put the passion into it, because it came from his heart, and it made him feel, it created an instant connection. So when you hear that boom, 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 you already smiling, and I ain't even said a lyric yet.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, so it put life. They were just talking about how they put life into the instruments. And that's a great musician. So when you get a bunch of great musicians together, you get a great sound together, and the rest is history, and just look at, and from there, like what Berry Gordy did was set the foundation of how, a lot of these labels that have these hit records, these huge, massive amount of hit records, and especially, as we talk about the 90s, your bad boys, they had the hit makers. It was Stevie J. That's what Stevie J came off so popular. It was Stevie J and 4 or 5. But he's a dope producer. Like, he can rock that bass, he can rock that. But Bad Boy put together a bunch of dope producers that made a bunch of dope hits. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The Motown Bad Boy. You had Master P. Back when he had his team. You had Manny Fresh and his team. So like, these folks always created like these producer teams that look at Stax Records. Stax Records had their studio engineers that was rocking, and that sound, is what you add to it. Is kind of like making macaroni and cheese.
Full circle.
You know, it's like making macaroni and cheese. You done with it, and you just put it. You know, you done made it. All you gotta do is just put it in the oven. It's good to go. You just gotta reheat it. You understand what I'm saying? After you mail it to me and we do our macaroni and cheese.
Right.
Or after you mail it to me and we do our macaroni and cheese quarantine party. Okay. I mean,
it
that's all I'm
reheats
doing.
very well.
I'm doing so you know, it's just all you gotta do is heat it up as a vocalist. I just gotta heat that macaroni and cheese up, and hey, it's on the top. So no, I'm joking, but just to go with what you say, I think it's really about the sound and that Motown documentary. You get a chance, look at it. It's called the I think Behind the Steps of Motown or Behind Some of Motown, but it gives the story of these gentlemen, and these gentlemen are, you know, the fabric of that Motown, and it really just show you how much music matters and why music needs to be back in these damn schools.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's why music needs to. These kids were young, like these Motown, these band players were like 17, 18, 16.
Yeah.
The one guy that was playing the bass was 15 in these nightclubs and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, rocking. So I think that, you know, moving forward, you know, musically, we got to find a way to add that element back into these school systems, because that helps the creative, and you never know who will be the next Aaliyah, you know, who will be the next anybody coming up out of Detroit. You know, Motown did big high school talent shows. You know, we were just talking about talent shows earlier. You know, that's how Motown found a lot of their sound, a lot of their singers doing big talent shows. So like that element needs to be, you know, orchestrated back into the school system, because it's a great release for the kids. Number one, it gives them something to do, and that goddamn music can keep them occupied all day.
Yeah.
And it also helps with like comprehension of like math and English, and like so it's not even like, oh, like we just doing this because you need something to do after school, but it also like helps set the foundation for like other classes that you also need. So yeah. And I just looked it up. So the documentary is called Standing in the Shadows of Motown. And I've seen it. It's amazing. And then there's another one about backup singers that's in a similar vein. I think it's like 20 Feet from Stardom or something like that, where they talk about like a lot of the background vocalists from like all these major hit songs and like Motown and like the Rolling Stones and all of that, and how they like basically were unsung heroes of these songs that we love and have played for years and years and years, and like nobody really knows them. So yeah, that's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, it's dope. It's dope, especially while you got a little bit of time. But it's just, you know, it gives you the essence of the combination of all the music aspects. Like everything in music, it takes a lot to create a mac and cheese hit. You know, it takes a lot. And people don't understand that. Like folks think they can just go and record and that's it, and they got a hit. Like, you know, a hit single is something that's easy to remember but hard to forget. And it takes a lot of energy to make a hit single. You know, that's why I look at, you know, these artists like Drake and you know, these Futures, and how they can just make these records and just make these smash after smash after smash after smash. That's tapping into some type of genius. You understand what I'm saying? So you know, from a music standpoint, I never knock it, whether you think it or folks think it's mumble rap or whatever these young cats be talking about. I don't know what the hell they be talking about, but somebody do, and that shit be banging. You know, when you talk about listening to the beat, you know, and they got shit to say too. You know, it's just another branch of hip hop that they own that we kind of not familiar with, because we on a different kind of branch. So it's just different branches of hip hop that we on and that we don't need to be on, because that's that young shit. And, you know, they can have that young shit. And I remember I did a post the other day about the Bone Thugs and Harmony song called Thuggish Ruggers Bone.
I saw
I
that
don't know.
posting.
When Bone Thugs came out, they had such a different sound. Like they sounded like they were fucking aliens. Like you're like, what is? It wasn't mumble. It was like a soulful mumble almost. You're like, what is this? But it sounded so good. Like,
Right, it was eerie. It was eerie.
Yeah.
It was an eerie sound.
Yeah, and then you like, what? But at the time, my parents thought it was some bullshit. You know, but that wasn't their wave. You know, my aunt thought it was some bullshit, but that wasn't their wave. Compared to Anita Baker, yeah, this shit sounds horrible. You know what I'm saying? Compared to Luther Vandross, yeah, them Negroes can't sing when you comparing them to Luther.
Right.
Ain't nobody compared to Luther.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm being extreme there, but
yeah.
All I'm saying is that they were on Bone had a whole nother branch of music. You know what I'm saying? That they had on the hip hop tree, and you know. I'm just thankful in the fact that these folks are able to create and continue to create. And, you know, we got to give them outlets to create, whether it's music in school. You'll never know where the next hip single can come from.
Right.
You know, it could come out of that, you know, Cast Tech, Big Sean studio, you know, that he put in 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not sure of the time, but I know it's in there. You know, so you don't know where that next single from, or where that next Big Sean could come from, where that next Aaliyah could come from, where that next Tierra Marie can come from. You know, she was rocking for a little bit, but I'm just saying, like in that aspect.
But Jay, do you think you mentioned the genius of it, and you mentioned Drake and Future? I think Future's trash, but you mentioned Drake and Future. Is the genius sometimes not necessarily the artists themselves, but the artist's ability to build that team or to find that team? And does the artist find the team, or does the team find the artist? You know, like how does that work?
It's a little bit of both, because you have to be good and rise to the top, and then folks that are good and on that same level will be attracted to you. It's the law of attraction. Yeah. So if you are dope as hell and you can flow and you dope, you're gonna find somebody else that's in that same lane on a professional level. So it's kind of a match made, you know, in heaven at a particular point, you know, because you have to be good to draw in somebody that's gonna be good to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you know, I'm thinking specifically of we should call this the hater episode, because I'm hating so much, but I'm thinking of
it's a celebration
of an artist like Ella Mai.
Okay.
I find Ella Mai, her music, basic and annoying. But she makes hits that I turn off.
Wait, this is the booed up girl?
Booed up girl.
Up.
Okay.
I hate that shit.
The biggest record 3 or 4 years ago in the world.
I hate that shit with everything. And I think she sounds like a whining mouse. But people love her, you know, and I have to give her the respect that you know, her sound is something that people love, but I don't understand when I hear stuff like that. I'm like, how did this make it through the studio?
So like when you said like it's like a match made in heaven, and like it's like the team plus the talent, and like it kind of just, you know, makes this magic happen. But like, isn't it also like, okay, this is how I imagine it to be, and it might not be this way, but like, okay, so let's say there's record label A and record label B, and record label A has somebody that sounds like Drake, or they have Drake. Let's say they have Drake. And then, but wouldn't it also be like record label B, even if they have somebody that sounds similar to Drake, like even if he's not like super good, but they want to have like a counterpart to him, to record label A? I don't know, but like it seems like the example of Future, right? I have very rarely listened to his music, but like he's not particularly good to me, like as an artist or a guy, or but even like his flow just doesn't seem to be that spectacular. So is it more about like well, this is what can sell because we've seen it sell at record label A and we're record label B. So now like we have to do that. I don't know. Like, because a lot of these people, and even though I have an old ear and I'm used to old shit, but like I can still recognize, like I'm not a big Drake fan, but I can recognize that he's talented in like his flow and rapping and beats and all of that. Like I can recognize that he makes good songs for people that like that kind of stuff. But like it's some of these people that I'm just like what's the
draw?
What's the draw?
Well, y'all
This
just
is a
said
good example.
It's the music. It's the music. Like, and there's nothing it's two sides of it. You talking about the record label side, which is your corporate and your business side. Then you're talking about the creative side, which is the artist side, and the artist being able to create kind of what they want to create and what they feel at that particular time. So as a record label, it is very strategic that you have a balance between the two. You have an art and you have a science, and you have to balance it. And since we're talking about Motown, Berry Gordy used to have strategic listening sessions with his top executives, couple interns from Motown. This is what I've read in books and seen in documentaries. And they would have quality control meetings. And in these meetings, he would play singles from each group. And he would ask folks, would you buy that song or would you buy a cheeseburger? Which one?
That's real.
But the theory of that is if somebody was hungry and they rather buy that song, that means that song got a connection, and that song is has an emotional connection, and that song has hit potential. So from a record label standpoint, a lot of executives like a Berry Gordy, and even, I've read a lot of industry executive books. Clive Davis used to take stacks of, going back to the CDs, he used to take stacks of CDs home, and he would listen from every genre because he was more he wasn't just urban, he was all of it. Rock, classic hits, he was all genres of music. So he would listen to the top 40 records in the country just to, one, keep his ear sharp and just to know what the sound is. So when you're putting something off into the market like a Popeye's chicken sandwich, that's a hit single. Why I always go back to food? I am really, really fat. Y'all know I'm
Jay,
food.
we all like,
and I'm hungry.
That like food. Last episode, we took a pizza break.
Yeah, and we might take another one today.
We need a macaroni and cheese break, okay? I'm gonna see you.
I got you. You are my brother now. I got you.
For sure. You heard that, everybody. Everybody heard that. Say that one more time.
Record.
Okay.
I got you, Andrea. Okay. I got you.
So okay. Go back to what I was saying. When you put a Popeye's chicken sandwich out in the market and everybody likes it, if you in the food business, you're gonna create something similar. I couldn't tell you how many chicken sandwiches I've seen after Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Right.
KFC. And KFC been doing the chicken sandwich. McDonald's even tried to bring back the McChicken. They brought back the McChicken.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, if it's hot, you gotta ride that wave. And that's that whole corporate, that's that corporate thinking, and that's that corporate, mentality. That's the corporate business. Like, what's hot, you gotta ride that wave so we can make some money off these chicken sandwiches.
Right, I get it. But somebody's gotta be somebody's making it hot. So they can say it's hot. Somebody's gotta be making it hot.
Yeah,
my thing is, who is making it hot? Who's dictating what it is that's hot? And I guess it's different markets saying this is hot, this is not, but
now it's the people. Now, like, what's going on in your typical record industry fashion is that with this digital outlets, you got so much data that kind of shows if you were to drop an album on Friday, all albums come out on Friday now, and you got an EP that's 6 songs, right? And that following Monday, it's so much data that you can pull from streaming services through, the YouTube. Think of Apple Music. Think of Amazon Music. All that streaming data comes to you. You kind of seen it in if you watch Empire, they were kind of jolting at that a little bit with the new takeover of Old Boy's son, the white guy who was trying to take over. But he was more of a data-based CEO. And you drop 6 records, you can see out of the 6 records which records got the most stream. So I can say, all right, that record was streamed the most. So we're gonna go with this single, and we're gonna put a significant amount of marketing push behind this single because it's already off to a fast start. So now it's kind of like the people dictating, what's hot, and that's why. Sometimes it might, boot up might not sound good to you, but at the end of the day, you're going to hear it so much, they're going to make it sound good to you.
Right. It still doesn't sound good to me, but I get it.
and as long as you get it, as long as you get it, and that's all,
Yeah.
That's all they need.
I get it. I do feel like though that's clear. That's obvious. I feel like that though, because we're so stimulated, because we have so much now to latch onto, that we have as a society become more basic and our attention spans are shorter. And, like you mentioned earlier, if the beat doesn't catch you immediately, you're not necessarily listening to it. And that's what's going to keep you engaged. I would say, I think Andrea has a far more, and I don't think your ear is old. I think you have a mature ear. Like, I learned so much from you just in your little posts. Like, when you post things, I'm like, I'm gonna go listen to that and see what she's talking about. I definitely like the old school stuff. We talked about it last episode, I think. I'm into like the Diana Ross. I have Olivia Newton-John lyric tattooed on my body. Like, I'm into stuff that's a little bit different and older and but not necessarily like Andrea. I feel like finds those hidden gems, that stuff that a more basic person like myself wouldn't hear. But what I hear now is something that's caters to people who just don't feel like investing in the music. I feel like we invest in the music more so, and now people just want to hear something and be done with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You got folks, you talking about it's always been like that. It's folks that like neo soul. It's folks that like love ballads or love ballad type R&B. Like, it's different. It's whatever makes you feel good makes you feel good. Like,
yeah.
Whatever you attach to, you might be going through some stuff at that particular time, and you attach to that record, for that particular reason. Like you said, the This Is Why I'm Hot. You was in the club. You knew the outfit to a T.
I know the outfit to a T. I can tell you what side of my hair the barrette was on.
I went to TJ's that night and passed out in the parking lot and was at City Heat dancing on the pole, all that stuff.
I can tell you, I know what shoes I had on. And I said my 31st birthday, but it was my 32nd birthday. I know exactly.
Yeah, so that's what music does. It connects to you on a deeper level, on a more a soulful level. That's why it's so. That's why it's so important, and that's why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, it's a measuring stick. It's a measuring stick, and it's to me, it's like the book of my life. It's like you have these chapters, and like each chapter I can attribute, to a song. I can even say I can attribute each moment to a song.
Right. And music is life. At the end of the day, it is life. We learn through music. Especially as African Americans, we learn through music. Okay,
Absolutely.
I don't know one person who ain't clean up to Anita.
That's right.
That Anita got to tell you, you had to clean up that house.
Look, Anita Baker had me getting a whack ass haircut because, you know, at the time I thought I was gonna get the Anita Baker haircut, and I actually ended up with a short little curly fro that I had to rock through my 7th grade year. But I really thought I was doing something. And
but we live
honestly,
it.
I don't think Anita Baker has the strongest vocals, but her music.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Uh-oh.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
hey.
So okay.
Somebody, you might have somebody knock at my door. They don't even know where I'm there. You just gonna have people randomly knocking. Somebody at this window.
Hey, I own my thoughts. I own my thoughts.
And those are independent thoughts. We gonna put that out there right now. Them thoughts are independently yours. All yours.
But they might also be mine too, though.
Okay.
They
well,
might
two independent thoughts.
Two independent thoughts. Also, okay, I think
what's this?
That anybody that's listening to this that knows me and knows that you put, you know, you said the AAA. So you said Aretha, Anita, and Aaliyah. I would be remiss if I do not mention the fact that I think Aaliyah is overrated.
Oh my God.
Word! Ah, yes!
So I feel like if I did not say that, I would be doing a disservice to the people that know me personally, that listen to this, because I had almost a 600 comment thread on unpopular opinions. And I started out with, I think that Aaliyah is overrated. Now, I will say she had some jams. I like some songs, but getting back to what Tiffany said about like vocals, like I like strong vocals. Like I want to feel your pain or your happiness through your voice. So like that's why Jill has songs that get me. That's why like
she just seeps into my pores.
Shaka Khan, like these people, like I feel their voice through me. Mm-hmm. Aaliyah,
it goes in one ear and out the other.
The beat is dope.
I love More Than a Woman. I love More Than a Woman.
I love that song too. I love Rock the Boat. There's a couple other jams, but like I'm not like if I want some soul stirring R&B, Aaliyah is not who I turn to. Now, Jay, I'm sorry. And if you want to end this call, I'll take that. It'll be on me. But I just had to put that out there.
I'm not gonna end the call. I'm gonna push through. I'm not gonna end the call. I just gotta reassess myself and get my thoughts together, because those two were independent thoughts. And there was some heavy thoughts.
The sisters are strong.
They was heavy. So let's go back on Aaliyah.
Okay.
Let's go back on Aaliyah. I'm gonna say this, and everybody's opinion is their opinion, but I'm just gonna base it off facts.
Okay.
And when you compare singers to singers, I think it's a lot of singers that don't compare to singing abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talking about overall artistry and somebody that drove the culture and pushed the culture forward, it was a time when I remember Jay-Z said that he's no longer doing the baggy clothes, he's wearing button-ups. And within a month, I think everybody was wearing button-ups at the club.
Everybody was in Sam's on 10 Mile and Southfield Road.
Not it was not TJ Maxx. What's the not Former Mills? What's the other one? Burlington. Woo! Burlington, boy, they had some mean button-ups. Let me tell you. Shout out to anybody that ever rocked that Burlington. The beef of Burlington was for button-up. Okay? if you rocked a Burlington button up, you was the shit.
You was hot.
You was hot. You was hot.
Look, I'm not stepping foot in a Burlington. That shit gives me anxiety.
You was hot. So, but going back to, he shifted culture at that particular time. Same with Biggie. When Biggie threw on the Versace glasses, I didn't know what Versace was. I know some folks did in Detroit because, you know, we Detroit players and we rock buffs and Versace's and shit, but I didn't know what a Coogee sweater was.
Jay, we grew up in Rosedale Park. That shit wasn't, we were wearing Birkenstocks and fucking baggy whatever.
And that next month, everybody in Detroit had a Coogee sweater or a Coogee dress. As we talk about prom season and graduations and historic events, somebody was rocking some type of Coogee dress or Coogee sweater to every event that they had.
Andrea, did you have Coogee?
I did not. I did not
either.
I had one Coogee. But I'm gonna tell y'all a secret. It wasn't a Coogee. It was a Fuji.
It was a Fuji.
It was a Fuji. My mama wasn't spending $500, so she found some shit. I don't know where she found it. That shit said Fuji, and I ain't bullshit, but it looked good. And every time it was.
I'm gonna tell you a secret, Jay. Your bougie sister-in-law had a Coogee dress.
I know she did. I know she probably had two of them.
Ask her about it. And wait, I wore it because I couldn't afford that shit.
Hey, look, them Coogee dresses are some hot shit, okay? they need to bring them motherfuckers back, okay?
Yeah.
That shit worked on every curve. I don't give a damn how big, how small. Any woman that was wearing a Coogee
and Gigi Hunter.
Oh, God, Gigi Hunter.
I wanted a Gigi Hunter, but my body then and or now, it's not Gigi Hunter.
Them Gigi Hunter dresses. Woo!
I wanted one so bad.
Oh, Jesus.
I wanted the body to wear one. I didn't need to wear one.
But I think she gave you the body through the dress. Anybody that wore Gigi.
Who did? I ain't never
seen a bad body in a Gigi. Like,
she
can bring that line back.
Shit, you didn't go to 3:30.
Ooh,
call them out.
3:30. That goddamn Gigi Hunter. Was that just a Detroit thing? Like, where did that brand come from?
I think she was from Detroit, but you know, Jasmine Guy used to promote her shit. Like, she used to put Jasmine Guy and Jada Pinkett Smith used to wear it on the red carpet.
Got you. I do remember them wearing that type style. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember Jasmine Guy and Jada Pinkett Smith were like the big names behind that brand at the time. But I remember some girls who used to always be at 3:30.
That shit was like the Fashion Nova of Detroit dress.
This was about gossip. It was some chicks, some ladies of the evening that used to always, they were popular in Detroit, and they all were well endowed, and they used to rock that Gigi Hunter and something new every week. I want to say the names, but the people who used to rock with me know exactly who they were.
So I'm looking up Gigi Hunter, and she's on Instagram, apparently accepting special orders. So shout out to Gigi Hunter for still keeping it relevant.
She got to bring somebody. She got to bring an influencer with that. But she was like her dress is like the Fashion Nova movement of Detroit. Like, everybody had a Gigi Hunter dress. That shit was hot.
10 times as much as Fashion Nova.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt. You gonna have to, spin big to play big at the end of the day.
Yeah, Gigi Hunter was for the girls who, hung out with the new athletes in town.
Yeah.
And so who's the Coogee dresses for then?
Everybody else.
How much was a Gigi Hunter dress at the time? I knew this shit was fly.
More than I could afford. That shit was like in the hundreds, like $500 then.
Really?
Yeah.
I just seen it,
Look, back then I couldn't even afford a gym membership, so it was no way I was getting my ass in a Gigi Hunter.
Well, that's what I was wearing.
You know what I was wearing? I was wearing Jacobsons.
What? You was at Burlington with me. I probably bumped into you at Burlington when I was buying my button up.
Please, please. Look, I think the bottom line here is that Detroit, is the influencer.
No, the bottom line is that it was a culture shift with Biggie in that Coogee dress. And he shifted culture. Now, you can compare Jay-Z to the top rappers, and sometimes he ain't a top rapper. He might be in your top 5, maybe in your top 10. Big is always going to be the top rapper ever. This is my opinion. But same with singers. Like, when you get to the vocals, some think Aaliyah vocals was good, some didn't. Some thought she rode the beat well, some didn't. But, was she a strong voice singer? That wasn't her column. Singing against, a Patti LaBelle, nah. But singing against whoever was out at that particular time, she was dominant. And she shifted culture because every girl wanted to how that Aaliyah look. That hair, that belly out, and them gloves and them boots, and then same with like TLC. When TLC came out, it was a shift. Like Aaliyah had such a culture shift, and that's why that's how I kind of look at the artistry, not just from the singing aspect. You got to change pop culture, and the artists that, to me, that changed pop culture, like Anita Baker. Like you said, she changed pop culture because everybody in Detroit a lot of women had that Anita Baker haircut.
Samia had that little fro.
They called it the Anita Baker cut. Mm-hmm. To this day.
Listen. Quick sidebar. I was ordering pizza because apparently that's all I do.
Shut up, Andrea.
And go down to get the pizza. Pizza man, he's like, you doing all right today? I'm like, yeah. And this one, my hair was short. He was like, you should be doing good. You light skinned, you got the Anita Baker haircut. No lie. Like, this is what he said to me. And I was just like, you're right.
In the 2000s.
Right. I do have the Anita Baker haircut. I should be okay. You're right.
Because that made everything okay.
That made everything okay.
You know what didn't make everything okay? Is when you thought you had the Anita Baker cut, but you had a curly fro.
Yeah, you just had the bait. You just had the bait. That was just the bait. You had the bait cut.
Look.
You had the Nita. It was like
light skin with the curly fro doesn't work.
You had the Nita.
Like, at least not in 1984, 1880, no, like, let's see, 1987? No.
Yeah, but these are, I just go off. If you're an artist and you can have a culture shift and you shift the culture, that's amazing. Like Pac, Pac shifted the culture, and he's still shifting the culture. His lyrics today resonate damn near like a prophet almost. What's
that's
going
true.
on?
That's true.
And the shit is there. It's almost scary. Shit.
My touched son listens to Tupac. I mean, and quotes it to me. Like, I'm like, I need you to dig a little deeper before you start quoting deep lyrics.
That shed so many tears, and things that never change. He wasn't lying. No. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't lying. So he shifted the culture. So this, when I talk about art, Whitney shifted the culture. Like, these icons, they iconic because it may not necessarily be of the vocals and the singing, and I know that's the base of everything, but a lot of these artists shift the culture. Drake has shifted the culture. Lil Wayne shifted the culture. Like, I'd never seen Black people on skateboards. You know what I'm saying? Like, Wayne had these kids, the kids were kind of already doing it, but he made it cool. Like, oh, okay.
For Black kids. I think
Black kid with the skateboard. Like,
Black kids.
Skateboard. Like, and all right, if you see the Black kid with a skateboard, he was probably with a bunch of white people, and they probably had like bald heads, and they were kind of weirdos. You thought you respected them, and you just kept your space per se. All right, he do what he do. But now it's like super cool. Like, that's the cool guy now. You know what I'm saying? So like, Wayne shifted all that shit. So I'm just going to artists, and I look at. There's a couple things I look at in the overall perspective. And, if they shifted the culture, they got a place in culture. you know, at the end of the day, you know.
So Jay, who's shifting the culture now?
Who's shifting the culture now? I wouldn't say I wouldn't say one particular person. I would say like the vibe of the music, this Afrobeat music. You know, these you know, artists like Afrobeat, the Don't Rush boy, the Don't Rush, you know, the those cats they're from Britain. You know, a lot of this music is African music. You know, I think that this music is sounding, it ain't sound like that back in the day. It got a total vibe, it got a different texture to it, and it's shifting to where I never thought one of my favorite records would be the DeVito Fall. Like, that record was a huge record. And I never thought an African record, you know, meaning that like a record from Africa would be one of my favorite records per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, of all time.
Really?
When it fall for you, like that DeVito and rock. If I tell you that I love you, though. I mean, it's a banger. It's a banger. I put that record on the lines of K-John by the Ocean. Who was from Detroit, by the way.
Oh,
yeah. Like that DeVito record is kind of like the Caribbean K-John by the Ocean to me.
Let me tell you something about that song. So when I first started dating my partner, I loved the song, but I couldn't get it online. I couldn't download it. And it so happened that his father loved that song too. So he was able, but it was like we were the only two people in the world who loved this song. And I mean, that song, I love that song. And I feel like it could fall into that category of basic, you know, basic music, but I love that.
Yeah, but it gives you a certain feel, a certain vibe.
Yeah.
And that record On the Ocean, it's a great record. It puts you in a space, it freezes time at the end of the day. And that's what great records do. Like great macaroni and cheese. When you eat that macaroni and cheese, it freezes time. You know how people bite into something and they do that pause, they do that, and they say,
"Oh, I know that pause."
That's a freeze. That's a time freeze right there, and that's what music do. It freezes time, and you gotta freeze time if you gotta hit record. And what's so crazy about the K-John is that folks don't know as a lot of recording artists are out there. Sometimes you gotta go out of your city to get respected. You know. Like Detroit played that K-John a little bit. They played it on GPR on 107.5, but it was spiked a little bit. That record really took off in Chicago because them steppers really gravitated to it. And in Chicago radio, they played that shit like it was a Michael Jackson record. You know, I'm talking about like 83 times, you know, a significant amount of times a week. To where it made a real impact, and them steppers stepped to it, and you know he's a Chicago legend with that one record.
Crazy. So he can retire off that record.
I wouldn't say he can retire off that record, but he can always have a show to do in Chicago in the Midwest with that record. But sometimes as an artist, you might not get that big break in your city. You might have to go to other cities and marinate a little bit.
So it's so funny you say that, Jay, because I would like, you know, if you would be willing to come back and talk to us. One of the things that even sparked this episode was that I was having a conversation with my cousin. My cousin is Mr. Groove from One Way and RJ's Latest Arrival. And he was saying the same thing or something similar. And he was saying that, you know, they achieved more success outside of Detroit, and that a lot of Detroit artists achieve success outside of Detroit than they do in their own city. So I would love to have that conversation at another time. But I find that you said something similar to that. I'm interested to know about that on the Detroit scene.
Well, look, I know. Are we wrapping it up?
I mean, sure. So.
No. I was just asking because I don't want to people when I tell artists this, and I try to be so sincere as possible.
Yeah.
That philosophy is in the Bible. Like Jesus told the disciples that they not gonna love you where you at. You gonna have to go and spread the word to other parts in other areas. And the disciples were nothing but rappers. At the end of the day, they was rapping the word. They were singing the word. They were delivering some type of word.
I love it.
Some type of analytical theory, phrase, metaphors. They was rapping the word at the end of the day. And for them to be embraced, they had to get up out of their cities. And that's what Jesus told them. So that concept, and I try to tell artists this without trying to sound crazy and extra religious and stuff, but that concept is a biblical concept.
That's not religious, that's historical. I think that's
just a biblical concept. Some folks be like, but no, like for real, get your ass up out of there. That's what you got to get your ass up out of there. Period.
Jay Hicks, will you come back and kick it with us again?
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. As long as you send some macaroni and cheese, I'll come back tomorrow. Shit. I love with some rappers. What you need? Shit. Have some folks chime in. No, for sure. I appreciate it though. It's been a good time. It's been a good time.
It's been a good time.
Good time.
Last week, Andrea and I played Truth or Drink.
Okay.
And we had so much fun doing that. We decided, and you're the first person that we get to do this on. We decided that everybody that joins us has to answer a question or take a drink.
Okay.
So, and you got to answer one for me and one for Andrea.
Okay.
All right. So I'm
ready. I'm with it.
You ready?
What I'm supposed to
You got to either tell the truth or take a drink.
Y'all gotta let me prepare my drink. Hold on.
I told you to prepare.
I saw it in the script. You gave a whole syllabus in the script. I wasn't reading all that. Sure. Give me some clip
straight
notes.
From the bottle because you are quarantining alone.
I ain't drinking straight from this bottle, but it's drink time anyway.
It's totally drink time.
What we doing now?
You ready?
We about to all get drunk.
Look, I've been drinking the whole time. I don't know what y'all been doing. I've been drinking the whole time.
You know my story.
Look,
this is my Detroit players out there. All my real Detroit players out here. That's for all my Detroit players right there. They know about that. That's real.
Look, I'm already red and flushed.
That's that flood. This is supposed to be my free Kwame drink right here. They ain't even letting my mans out now. Some bullshit, Trump. That's some bullshit. This is about to be my Detroit player Kwame out session.
Kwame out.
The views and opinions expressed on this show
are not.
You're going to have to run that a couple times with the Malia comments and the people about to be knocking at everybody's door.
You ready, Jay? I got one for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
Who is your least favorite family member?
Woo! My least. I got to drink to that. You ain't trying to get me killed. Woo, that Remy ain't that bad. Woo! Woo! That Remy hit different after 8 o'clock. Woo!
You sure?
That's that Kwame Remy. That's that Kwame Remy. This is what Kwame was about to buy if he got out.
I can't believe you missed out that quick.
Woo! This is what Kwame was about to buy. He was gonna drink on that as soon as he got out.
You owe him one. I can't believe you missed out that quick, Jay.
What's that?
I asked you because I can't believe you gave up that easy.
Hell yeah. Shit. COVID go in. I gotta go back to family. Shit, you said like this COVID. gonna block me from family for the rest of my life. Shit. It's gonna be a Labor Day, a Thanksgiving, a Christmas. You know how Negroes congregate.
I know
For
they
real.
are. That's why I came heavy hitting with you.
Yeah, you got no, I'll drink to that again. I'll double shot.
All right.
Woo.
So
Shit.
hopefully you tell the truth on this one and don't drink. So what is the most inappropriate time you've ever laughed?
Most inappropriate time at a funeral.
What happened?
At a motherfucking funeral. The pastor was doing the eulogy, and he was doing the eulogy, and he has said that he was doing the Bible verse. He was talking about Paul, and he was like, he lost his train of thought. He said, I just don't know what Paul said, but I know he said something. But I can't remember what he said right now. But y'all need to remember what Paul said. I said, what? Jay, that's exactly. I'm like, yo, really? He said, y'all need to remember what Paul said. I'm like, what? He ain't say that. So
You ain't told us what he said.
You ain't say nothing.
That's what I said. He totally forgot the Bible verse, and I was dying. I had that shit was so funny to me. I was dying laughing, but a couple other people were laughing a little bit too. But I had to leave because that shit took me back. Like that nigga fucked up that whole verse. Like, how you gonna mess up this man verses as usual? For real.
That is the reason why I don't do clergy at funerals, because they never.
I gotta drink to that one too.
Jay,
Woo.
Are you on social media? Where can people find you?
Facebook, this is JayHicks. Instagram, JayHicks.
Jay's a
Jay
funny
Hicks.
dude. He's got a lot of insight. Follow him. Keep up with us. Keep up with him.
Oh, you talking about me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, for sure.
Jay Hicks.
What the after party? We done got drinks flowing and everything. Are we doing a podcast after party?
We can always do a podcast after party.
Is there a podcast after party, Papa?
Well, the after party is when you come back and kick it with us again.
For sure. But why can't we gonna talk about how they tricked us about Kwame too? I'm just so disappointed about that. How they gonna trick us? How they gonna trick us? I gotta take another drink.
Y'all chose to believe what you chose to believe.
Woo.
How about you wait until the actual news comes out and actually is a done deal, and then you talk about how somebody tricked you.
It was out. AM radio.
It is
That
not over.
that was on Google. It was on a Google header.
Lenny Kravitz. It ain't over till it's over. That dude was not home.
Yeah.
That dude was not home. Y'all need to sit down and chill out. And when he gets home, what is that you're drinking? You drink.
It was a Kwame special.
Oh my God.
Not no more. Not me.
Next time y'all be a little bit slower instead of so hot in the ass. You'll be a little bit slower to believe the headlines. Gonna ain't happened.
And I saw so what's his name? Aaron Foley. He posted something about how like the story first broke on ebonyjet.org, which was like, come on now, that's not even a real thing. But like it got posted there, and then just like wildfire, everybody just started sharing it. Other websites picked it up, and everybody was celebrating. But
everybody believes what they want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe they should let that brother out so we can all open floods up and go down the floods, open up half past. What is half past now? Harmony Park.
What is it? TV? Is it TV?
Open up Club Network, bring back all the old clubs, and we do a social distance party.
Network is probably I'm sure it is.
Let me out.
We can party
Yeah.
anyway. We can party on for whatever reason. I advise you strongly to wait until you see him at your doorstep.
Amen to that. I feel you. I feel you. For sure. Well, it's been fun, ladies. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you
It's
so
been
much,
great,
Jay.
Jay. Thank you for coming on with us, and we hope you will come back.
I will, no doubt, no doubt. Send me that mac and cheese. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace. Like, follow, share. Peace.